Welcome, Yamhill County, to Speaking Frankly. I'm your host, Howie Harkema, and our tagline is, "And how we doin'?" Today, our topic is McMinnville Park and Rec and Kids on the Block. And we have two guests with us. The first is Janet Adams, who's the Kids on the Block program manager. Thank you, Janet, for being here today. And we have the lovely Susan Muir, who's the Parks and Rec director. Nice to have you, Susan.
Hi, Howie.
To have you be here today.
Thank you.
So I'm excited. I've been waiting all week to do this. So Susan, tell us a little bit about McMinnville Parks and Recreation. You've been here now for what, 2 years?
Yes, almost 2 full years.
And what's happening in your department?
Well, it's an exciting time in Parks and Rec, not only for what we're here to talk today about, which is Kids on the Block and our after-school program. We're one of about 9 departments, I think, in the city. So we have police and fire, library, planning, community development, finance, information technology. We have a lot of services at the city, and we're one portion of that in Parks and Rec. And together we do a lot of city services. In Parks and Rec specifically, we have several program areas. Janet is the Kids on the Block manager. That's one of our big program areas. We also run the Senior Center out at Wortman Park, which is a great facility, and hopefully everybody's been to the Wortman Cafe, and if you haven't, check it out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Best $5 for soup and salad that you'll get, and many other programs that we run out of the Senior Center. We also have recreational sports, which is our sports teams. Right now we're in the middle of, or closing out, baseball and softball, so that's an exciting time. Hundreds of kids from McMinnville and the surrounding area participate in those
including
programs.
My grandson.
Excellent, excellent. Is he playing in baseball?
Yes, he's T-ball.
Excellent, excellent.
Got it.
Lots of fun to watch the kids play those sports, and soccer will be coming up. We have the Aquatic Center, which is a great facility, and hopefully people are going to be taking advantage of that as we move into the summer months. We have programs running there all year as well, from fitness programs to lap swim and other things, so that's a great facility. The community center is kind of one of our flagship facilities. It's a 54,000 square feet facility right in the middle of downtown. We run gymnastics programs out of there. We have open gym. We have all sorts of programs that run out of there. That's also where our admin offices are.
Right.
Kids on the Block, I mentioned that, and then we also do park development out of Parks and Rec, so the design and construction of new park facilities, and right now we're working on the J. Pearson Neighborhood Park.
Yay.
And I'm guessing everybody knows that J. Pearson was my predecessor, retired after many successful decades of Parks and Rec management at the city of McMinnville, so we're excited. That's going to be the community's first barrier-free park. It's up in northwest McMinnville near Hill Road and Baker Creek, so we expect to have a grand opening of that sometime late summer or early fall, and it's under construction right now. You can start to see it take shape, and it's
awesome.
a really, really exciting time for us in Parks and Rec.
So the community center used to be the National Guard Armory.
Yes.
And it wasn't brick.
Yeah.
It was just wood.
Oh, interesting.
And I played music in it. Before there was a gymnasium on that floor, it was just a dance hall.
Oh, interesting.
Area. It was very cool.
I get a lot of great comments from people about what their experience was at the community center or its previous life before that, and it's great. And that is another thing that we're working on right now in Parks and Rec. We're currently evaluating our facilities. So the Senior Center and the Aquatic Center and the Community Center have gone through basically a structural assessment to determine how are they faring over the years. You know, they're older buildings, at least the Senior Center isn't, but the other two are, and so we had an architect come through and evaluate the roof and some of the HVAC systems and other things, and so we know we need to think about what those facilities are going to be like for the next 30 years in McMinnville. So we're doing a project right now, and we've been doing a big push to reach out to the community and ask them what they want for the future of our facilities.
I took the evaluation.
Yay, excellent. We've had
put it on my Facebook page too,
thank
so
you.
others could do that.
Thank you. We've had a good response, and it's going to close relatively soon, so we're looking forward to hearing the results of that and kind of walking through the process of what will these facilities be like for the next future generations of McMinnville.
So in that study, is seismic part of the study as well?
That was part of the assessment, whether or not we had the seismic. And, you know, we did have some upgrades on the back part of the, which I guess would be the east side of the community center. So they did evaluate that aspect of it too. Yeah.
It's really important because Cascadia could be a really serious problem if it were to do its thing.
Yes, and I know there's more to be done on that in our structures, so that's part of what we'll be thinking about going forward. So
talk a little bit more about the aquatic center for a minute. Can kids take their swimming lessons and such there?
absolutely, yes, and all of this information should be on our webpage and in our program guide, which we mail to every residence in McMinnville. We are open to having lessons. We also have open swim, and we have fitness classes that happen there. All that information is available on our webpage, and it's a very popular facility. And it's got quite a history itself. Sometime we should talk about the history of it.
Yeah, I'd like to,
Okay.
because I remember coming to McMinnville when I was a kid, and it was outdoors.
Yes.
It wasn't indoors.
Yes.
And then the new facility got built, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was the first, as far as I know, that was an inside pool.
Oh, yeah.
It was way before Newburgh did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're going to jump over to you, Janet.
Sounds good.
So what is Kids on the Block?
Kids on the Block is an after-school program for 1st through 5th graders. It's intended to be a fun, safe, and enriching place for kids to be after school from 2:30 to 5:30.
Awesome. Larry, could you bring up the banner for the next one, please? For Kids on the Block? There it is. Awesome. So where is it, and how many kids do you serve?
We're at all 6 of the elementary schools that are part of the McMinnville School District. So we have a site at Buell, Columbus, Grand Haven, Memorial, Newby, and Washer. And each of our sites can serve between about 25 to 85, depending on the number of staff we have.
Right.
So this past year, on any given day, we usually had between 250 to 275 kids that were participating in the program.
And are they volunteers that help do this, or is
Great question.
Yeah.
We hire a staff of site directors and recreation leaders. Volunteers come occasionally, but when you've got 275 or so kids to keep track of, depending just on volunteers, to know that they're there to keep our adult to child ratios in line, things like that. We hire staff who we pay so that we know that they will be there and do
that's
a good
a
job.
good thing, and they know which kids they're supposed to be monitoring and all of that.
Exactly. They get the right kid back to the right parent.
So what's a typical day look like for the kid who attends this program?
Well, school is over at 2:30, and so those who are staying for Kids on the Block head straight to the cafeteria, and they get to have a snack in about 10 minutes or so, just to eat their snack and chat and visit with friends. It looks a lot like any school lunch program, but it's after school.
Right.
And then they're always champing at the bit to get out on the playground so they can have a bit of recess time for...
I can't imagine. My grandson, my youngest grandson, is 6. He just graduated from kindergarten, going into 1st grade.
Great. Well, once kiddos like your grandson realize that playground time is right around the corner, they're quick to finish up whatever snack they have and
And
head
boy,
out
is
to
that
play.
chaos when they hit the playground, I'm sure.
It's well orchestrated chaos, I'll say. It's safe chaos.
Yes.
We swing open the doors and staff know exactly where they're supposed to be, like lifeguards around a pool.
Sure.
And the kids go streaming out and play a little bit like that. Yes, you'd be great.
I'm just a big kid, so you know.
Exactly. And then after about 20 minutes of that, they head back inside, and we have 3 stations that kids visit. Usually there's a STEM and strategy station, so something along the lines of science, tech, engineering, math, or some sort of group problem-solving game.
Sure.
We have Creation Station, which is usually an arts and crafts project, or it might be poetry writing or puppetry or dance or music. And then the 3rd station is Fit Zone. And I think that we must know about 694 different versions of the game Tag.
I'm sure.
That we play, plus anything that will help the kids just exercise their bodies even more.
Right.
Might do yoga or stretching, dance, Zumba,
Awesome.
just get them moving. And then the last half hour of the day usually includes a bit of time for homework, support, and reading.
Oh, that's good.
And then they either take the bus home or parents come and pick them up by 5:30 and turn off the lights and get ready for the next day.
Well, so who are your staff and what kind of training do they get?
We have a fantastic staff. We have a staff of about 50 to 60 people who work part-time with us. It's an intergenerational staff, which is one of the many things I like about our program. We have a lot of college students from Linfield and Chemeketa who help us. We've got retirees who are on staff. We have stay-at-home parents who just want a 3-hour job in the afternoons.
Sure.
We hire high school juniors and seniors. So I think our youngest is 16 and our oldest is into her 80s. And I think it's fantastic for the kids to have such a wide range of people, of fellow community members that they get to play with and learn from. And the staff that we have, from the very beginning, from the get-go, they have a first aid and CPR class and Oregon mandatory reporter training, which
Sure.
is what helps our staff know how to help keep kids safe in our program and beyond. Of course, we teach them all about the logistics and the policies and the procedures of the program, but we spend the majority of our time talking about child development and positive behavior guidance strategies. And then we'll do some training throughout the year as well, kind of based on what challenges are they running into or what interests do they have, and then we'll tailor our staff development workshops to that.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad that you have a diverse age group of people working, because some kids are a little bit afraid of us older people.
I don't know how they could be afraid of you,
I
Howie.
know, but they might be able to react to somebody like Lucas just fine. You know what
Totally.
I'm saying? So,
Lucas, do you need a job this fall? Sorry.
it's all good. So sometimes you have special guests and activities planned too. So what do those look like and why are they important?
We do have enrichment visitors who come usually every 2 to 3 weeks. It's a little difficult to take 275 or more kiddos on a field trip. But we can bring the field trip to them. And so we have visitors coming from OMSI, the Oregon Aquarium, A.C. Gilbert Discovery Village. We've had folks from the Humley School of Music come.
Awesome.
We've had storytellers and jugglers and comedians. The Willamette Valley Cancer Foundation comes and does some things with us. The Red Cross, Recology,
Sure.
they come. So bringing in these guest speakers every 2 to 3 weeks is a way to for the kids to learn what's in their community and beyond their community that they're not having the opportunity to do during school and may not have the opportunity to do in their families.
Right.
For a lot of families, it's not possible to pile in the car and head up to OMSI or to the Oregon Zoo
Right.
for the day. And so we bring that to our kids. And of course, they're learning about whatever that person is bringing. For instance, Reptile Man is one of the most popular. And the Reptile Man, I don't know how you feel about snakes and such.
I'm good with it.
Okay, good. Well, he is a cool guy, and he brings a ton of snakes and lizards and other reptiles, and teaches the kids about the various habitats of those animals, that they're not as scary as our culture has taught them to
Promoted
believe
them?
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Talk about how the kids can be good pet caretakers if that's the sort of pet
That's
they
good.
have. So it's more than just, oh cool, here's a snake. I mean, it is cool, here's a snake. But that's cool.
This is a big snake, though.
He has one that he is bright yellow and probably 6 or 7 feet long.
Yeah.
And he lines the kids up in the row and he puts the snakes over their shoulders, and the kids' faces just light up to have this gigantic snake surrounding them. Only the ones that want to do it. So there are the oh wow, this is cool parts of our enrichment visitors, but there's the message behind whatever they're bringing. For
Right.
instance, the comedian who's also a juggler, he's hilarious, but his whole point is to encourage kids to read and about the adventures that you go on in your mind when
Sure.
you're reading books. And he does that through comedy and juggling. So it's not just entertainment for the sake of entertainment. There's more to it than that with our enrichment visitors.
Well, let's walk through some of these photographs because I believe the snake is in one.
Oh, good.
So, Larry, there we go. So here we go.
Oh, yes. This was Chronicles of Narnia week.
Yeah.
And so the kids were experimenting with what different kinds of colored dyes would melt their blocks of ice.
Ooh.
So a little bit of science in there, but then there's also the Chronicles of Narnia are books. So we could really bring that all together.
Right.
The kids had a fun time doing that.
Larry, move on to the next one, please.
Lots of outside time and some unstructured time as well in the midst of the 3 hours, so the kids can spend time with their friends that they're not in class with and make new friends.
That's awesome. Next.
Homework. Homework
Yeah.
does not have to be done at a desk. It does not have to be done sitting up straight in a chair. If the way you like to do your math is spread out on the floor, okay,
Be it.
we can do that. Wherever they're going to learn best, there's some flexibility
I
there.
never had a desk when I was that age. It was always on the floor like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Larry.
We've got tons of books, and if the kids don't have homework, then they get to pick from any of the books and do their
good.
reading. With the little ones, we'll take them outside with their books and read to them. One of the schools has a courtyard, and they grow pumpkins in the courtyard. This is Memorial.
Yeah.
And so in the fall, we take our kids and their books, and we go sit out amongst the pumpkins and just read for 20 minutes, so that it's fun and relaxing and not an enforcement issue that you must read for 20 minutes.
Yes.
We're going to go hang out with the pumpkins for 20 minutes and read books to the pumpkins. It's fun.
That's fantastic. So, are some of the books donated?
Many of the books are donated, or we've been able to purchase them with our program supply
sure.
budget. But certainly, if folks wanted to donate children's books,
Right.
that would be one thing I'd be interested in.
Your number and your email is on a
Perfect.
banner. It
Good.
will come up. Larry, to the next one.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep, working on their homework and eating their snacks.
Okay. Next.
This was a science experiment to see what would happen when you take vinegar and baking soda. Put a balloon. Exactly. They didn't know that was going to happen. And so the lesson was to teach concepts about what is a hypothesis, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
And then what are the steps of conducting an experiment? How do we figure out if what you think is going to happen actually happens? And then drawing conclusions. And so we kind of hit that theme, the hypothesis, experiment, conclusion, over and over again with different science-based activities for them.
Well, it's a chemical reaction.
There you have it.
And there it is. Larry, next. Ooh.
I think that they are building in this one. They've been given a limited number of marshmallows, not to be eaten, I'm afraid. That's always the first question. And toothpicks, and they were tasked with creating a structure together as a group, and that's one of our staff members who is a Linfield graduate, and I think that's at Buell Elementary, if I'm not mistaken, which is right close to Linfield.
Yes. So I could look at that and say, is that molecular structure, or are they going to make s'mores later, or little
Really,
toothpicks?
whatever their
Bunsen burner.
little brains come up with is what we'll do with them next. But I think they were tickled to work together and create something.
That's
and
awesome.
Compare the various small groups. What does your structure look like? How tall is yours? How wide is yours?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next.
Oh, this is a fun one. This is a fun one. This is a communication and a social emotional learning activity. We can see that the little girl on the right is blindfolded, and she's the one who's in charge of drawing. And then the little one next to her is describing something that he's asking her to draw. And I think in this case they were trying to, draw a self-portrait based on somebody's description. And so, being blindfolded, that takes trust.
Yes.
It's all about communication. It's two people working together for probably a really concerted 10 to 15 minutes. So really good relationship building among students.
Well, I took an art course at Lewis and Clark, and the teacher had us do that. Blindfold us, and now you need to draw.
Yeah.
And so that's a great technique because
You have to think about the picture in your
That's
mind.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So the next one, Larry? Oh, boy. Those are two happy young men.
Those two crack me up. They, sometimes we do goofy things. We made crazy hats, and it was a crazy hat day, and those two were just cute little goofballs
Oh,
and
boy.
happy to be hanging out with each other and wear their goofy hats.
Next, Larry?
Building Legos, Tinker Toys, Lincoln Logs, whatever you can build with.
A Rector set.
Yeah, absolutely. They love building things.
Boy, I've done so many of those when I was a kid, I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Larry?
Oh, big competition. That's
boy.
Jenga. Can you remove one of those things without letting the whole thing drop over? So the concentration and the collaboration there is.
And trust.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Next.
That's a fun one as well. The kids are in 1st through 5th grade, and
Right.
so it's a great opportunity for them to meet other kids who are older or younger than them. This was a collaborative coloring project where the older kids were responsible for helping the little kids make decisions about what they wanted to draw. But it's a group coloring project so that they can practice the communication and deciding, should the shorts be red, should the shorts be blue, and decision making like that.
Exactly, and that's really important. She's wearing an A+ shirt, so she must have gotten an A+.
There you go.
And he's a little mentor, so that's really important.
Yeah.
Starts him out young. Next. Oh, talk about this, please, both of you.
This is the website and the question that we're asking the community about the facilities. What's next for our indoor facilities in Parks and Recreation? So we asked a series of questions. The survey is available in both Spanish and English to help us understand what does our community want out of our
Right.
recreation programming. So it's a great effort, and we will be reporting to the City Council. They'll hear from us about the results of this on July 17th at their regular.
So there is a little bit more time that they can take the evaluation, right?
The survey really ends tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yeah,
Well,
really.
this won't even air till Saturday, so too late. Never
So
mind.
stay tuned. That webpage will have the results.
Yep.
Yes.
And we'd love people to get involved after. Hopefully everybody's taken the survey, but still stay involved with that web page and
Awesome.
we'll update it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that your upcoming newsletters and
Yep.
stuff will have that information
Yes.
in it as well.
And there will be many more opportunities for the community to get involved
Oh,
in the
good.
discussion. So we'll be back. We'll be back on that.
So, Kids on the Block. So how long has it been around?
30 years.
Oh, man.
31 years? At least 3 decades.
And how long have you been there now, Janet?
This is my 13th year.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Thank you. I arrived in McMinnville 13 years ago and not knowing quite what I was getting into, and fell in love with the community and our city, the city of McMinnville, and working for Parks and Rec.
Right.
And so this is now home.
Well,
is
you
my
know, I've been
hometown.
trying for 3 years to get you on this show. Do you remember when we were at Linfield and I said, I'd sure like to get you on my show sometime?
Well, it's about darn time
It's
I'm here then.
It is. And here you are. So how many kids do you think you've served over those 31 years?
Well over 10,000.
Oh, my goodness.
It's hard to put an exact number on it because when the program first started, it was only open at 3 schools, and it built up over
Sure.
that. Every once in a while, I'll run across an old box of registration forms that are pretty vintage, and based on old paper files and registration systems before I got here, I think.
Right, pre-computer, yeah.
Yep, I think well over 10,000. And having been around for 30 years, we're getting second generation KOB
Sure.
kids. Some of our kids have parents who were part of the program, and certainly we have a number of staff members who were KOB kids
sure.
as well. One of our city council members, Adam Garvin, was actually a KOB kid, and he talks fondly about his KOB leader named Anna Banana.
And a banana.
So we're turning out some pretty cool people out of the Kids on the Block program.
Well, just to say the least, that Adam came from that, and now on the city council,
Yep.
and that's great. So the city completed the assessment. soon.
The facility assessment
Yes.
will be soon. We also, in the last year, did an assessment of the Kids on the Block program.
okay.
And we learned a lot through that assessment program, and it was actually really good to check in with both the patrons who attend
Sure.
Kids on the Block and those families that don't attend Kids on the Block, and how we can kind of get more opportunities for families. So it was a good assessment for us.
And what did you learn from that assessment?
Well, there were 49 recommendations that came out of that
Wow.
assessment that had to do with communication and outreach, who we were serving, who we were not reaching out
Yes.
to enough so they could serve them, about program operations, about staffing and management, financial sustainability. So just incredibly valuable to have from an outside perspective, an outside, very educated perspective, the suggestions for what do we do to maintain this program, sustain it, and let it sparkle for the next 30 years so that we can double the life of the
So
program.
where does your funding come from?
Excellent question. It is a group effort for sure. Our facilities are provided by the school district.
Sure.
They also provide the snacks and transportation. City general funds go into it. Parents pay a registration fee for their kids to participate. And then we have also built up a reserve of funds thanks to Mayor's Charity Ball and a few bequests that we've been
Sure.
given. So donations over the years have helped us build a reserve fund. That was part of the reason we did the assessment, because the reserve fund, through these donations, people envy that we have had that for so long and are shocked that we've had it for that long and so successfully. It's dwindling though, and,
Of course.
and it's more and more difficult to find funds like that. So doing the assessment was a good way for us to figure out, of the funds that we have left, how do we use those most wisely
Sure.
to sustain the program going forward? What do we need to do in order to make sure that we can run the program and still reach out and include the kids who need this program the most, who might not be able to afford to come?
So the kids that do come, is it a 4-day time frame that they come?
It's Monday through Friday.
Right.
It's on most school days, not all school days, but most school days, from 2:30 to 5:30.
Awesome. So the program fee to the parents, what does that look like?
This coming year, the fee for the full year will be $775. That's September through May. And we have a lot of parents who say, $775, that's so cheap compared
It
to
is.
childcare in the area. And we have a lot of families who say, $775, holy cow,
Right.
no way. And so we have been working and will continue to work really hard to figure out how to take the limited financial assistance funds we have and allocate those in a way that will make it possible for all families to be able to participate if they want.
So these are going to be my last two questions. We have 48 seconds. So what is the most asked question about Kids on the Block?
Folks want to know, when will we be adding kindergarten to the program
Of
list?
course.
And that is, the ink is not dry on that yet, but folks can check our city website in mid-July and find out the answer to that question. And they can apply for jobs with Kids on the Block as well on the city website.
And the big question,
Yes.
Susan, when is the Mayor's Ball coming back?
That is the most asked question I get. And I wasn't here for the Mayor's Ball. I never got to attend it, but I hear great stories about it. And that really was we were so fortunate to have been able to run the program as long as we could out of that amazing fundraising. At this point, what we're doing is trying to plan the financial sustainability of the program without that large component. We aren't planning on using it as part of the funding for the program. If the community has a way to do that kind of fundraising, we'll gladly be a recipient of it, but we're moving forward to try and make the program sustainable with the resources that Janet mentioned.
Great. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you,
It
Howie.
goes
It was a
by
pleasure.
way too
Yes.
quick. We'll have you on again in maybe
Excellent.
6
We'll
months
come
and we
back.
can talk about that.
Sounds
We'd love
good.
to. Yeah.
So thank you everybody for watching today, and have a great weekend and enjoy.